NIO August numbers are out and unfortunately they're disappointing, they're not good. And yeah, I think NIO might be actually falling victim here to their own strength, and that's my current take on things that are happening. Because looking at NIO numbers, they have announced less than 6,000 monthly deliveries. I think most of us have expected more than 8,000 deliveries, but it came down to 5,880 vehicles, which is still a 50% roughly year-over-year growth, but certainly not what is priced into expectations of investors. And what is NIO claiming here is that the vehicle production, especially for the ES6 and EC6, was materially disrupted by supply chain constraints resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. And only a while ago, I made a video about these particular issues in Malaysia, particularly with Bosch as a supplier, so a German company producing some of these chips here. So these are those little chips that are going into the car around stability control, integrated power brake, IPB and transmission control units. And if it's just one piece missing, then obviously you cannot finish the car, and that is currently hurting NIO a lot. And when I made the video, that was already known for a fact, and I think so many investors have already anticipated that it's going to be an impact, but maybe not that it's going to be this much of an impact. And I think particularly when we compare it to the numbers that we have got from Li Auto as well as Xiaopeng today, and possibly also Tesla in the next coming days, the big question here is, why is NIO not managing this issue as well as those competitors? So Li Auto announced more than 9,000 cars delivered, and XPeng more than 7,000, but actually also down month on month. For Tesla, we don't know the numbers yet. In the past, they had some issues around some local deliveries in China, but I expect them to be getting better towards the end of the quarter now, particularly for the China local deliveries. But anyways, I think my take here is that, well, the issue for NIO is that they're building a premium to luxury car on which they rely on really qualitative components from third-party suppliers such as Bosch, with whom they have signed, for instance, a strategic agreement in the past here. So you can see those representatives here between Bosch and NIO. And unfortunately, although they might be German-made qualitative components there, it seems like these companies are also most affected by some of these shortages in Malaysia with the close down of the plant and the lockdowns. And maybe those companies can also be less flexible than others. I heard that Elon Musk was particularly worried about Bosch, which is also a supplier of Tesla cars, and he criticized them actually in the past. So I would imagine that Tesla possibly has shifted maybe already away from them a little bit earlier, or in general is more aggressive and pushy to finding alternative suppliers to them. Whereas NIO, they have those cooperations with Bosch, with Infineon and so on, which make great, almost German-like quality built cars, but in the end now it's leaving them behind, like some of the other competitors who, for instance, I think Li Auto is not so much relying on those strategic supply partners. For XPeng, maybe for the P7, which is the more qualitative car, they are also relying on those chips here, but maybe in lesser of an extent there. And additionally, NIO claimed that also another supplier in China around the A-B pillars have been affected as well. So lots of unlucky stuff here happening, and there are too many different variables that we can really need to think through, and it's not easy to make sense of whether or not this is really causing a bigger problem to NIO than for the others. But the fact is that NIO has been hit the most by this right now, and so this certainly creates more selling pressure for NIO today. So I think, as I mentioned before, some of this news was known out there. If I know it, then the big investors know it as well. So possibly we see some short-term traders maybe trying to retest this 36.50 cents US dollars mark here, maybe even going lower to the lower fib range here around $34.50 in the short term. And those that are not convinced that this supply issue can be solved might sell out of their positions there. But those who are really long and believe that this is just a short-term issue, they may use this as a good buying opportunity here in order to add to their long position. Personally, yes, I was also surprised by the extent of the drawdown here, but I'm more disappointed by the fact that NIO doesn't manage the supply chain better and can create an advantage out of this situation, because it's basically affecting everyone. And so in relation, it seems like NIO is losing ground here in the short term. But I am in the camp that believes that on the long term, a couple of thousand up or down doesn't matter too much right now. I still think my target of around 95,000 sales for this year is achievable. NIO has revised the guidance to 22,500 to 23,500. I think for this quarter they will end up delivering around 23,000. And so if you look at this chart that Roland here made on Twitter, which I find really good, you will see that if the September numbers are the bump and the October numbers as well that NIO is promising, then ultimately it may just be a short dip that can be explained like in the NIO news that we have received today. Just on 25th of August, there was already a management call with Bank of America, and well, they summarized again that there are these capacity constraints, and also that NIO still sees a large demand, and that's what they mentioned this time again, that they received historically high orders. But of course, like I mentioned, if they don't have the chips, then they can also not deliver those cars. And it was interesting though to see that in a previous call with the management just a couple of days ago, they said that they can achieve their Q3 guidance between 23,000 and 25,000, but now had to revise it down a little bit. On the other hand, it seems that Morgan Stanley also had a call today with NIO, and they remained an overweight rating and a $64 price target here. Once again, citing the disruptions here, specifically again from Bosch and ST Microchip in Malaysia, but mentioning also the long-term outlook here that the overseas market might contribute to 1/3 of the NIO sales volume in the future, and that Tesla and NIO are going to take the lion's share of the China's premium EV market. And that's also my take. Like I mentioned also yesterday, I'm here for the long game, and so I might use this dip today in order to buy some long-term call options. It's always good to buy at such larger dips, because once it bounces back, and I believe it will, then in the future this has represented a good buying opportunity. But that is not investing advice. If you are fearful or worried about those low numbers, then you certainly want to manage your risk. And if you don't believe that there is an actual supply issue there, and if you believe that the NIO cars are not good in quality, or there will be a demand issue in the future, then this might be your final warning here. But as I mentioned before, I'm personally not in that camp, and I will just keep on holding my stock, and as I mentioned, play with some of those call options, which are basically nice to have right now. So yeah, the summary once again, NIO might be victim to their supply chain here, which is based on those kind of quality chips that are not in reach right now. Others have it maybe easier in this current situation, but also particularly XPeng is relying even more so on those growth numbers. So they're also now down month on month. Let's see how it pans out for them. I believe ultimately this chip shortage will be solved at some point in time, and unfortunately right now this is a painful period to go through. So let me know in a comment, what do you think about this situation? How disappointed are you? And then please smash a like, and see you in the next video.